What started off as crashing on an air mattress became a multi-billion-dollar company. Airbnb is still an alluring option for those wanting to make some decent extra cash. And while renters complain about exorbitant additional charges and homeowners complain about the lack of respect given to their property, it's business as usual for this now public company. So if you're keen to give it a go, we've got the perfect list just for you. 15 things to know before becoming an Airbnb host. Number 1. Do the math. Hey Luxers, there's much more to renting your place out on Airbnb than just a pretty home or an intriguing space. There are many expenses you might not have thought about. First off, Airbnb makes money off every rental, from the host and the renter, so you'll need to factor in the percentage that they automatically deduct. You'll then need to consider your time, a cleaner, cleaning materials, insurance, and breakages, and that's just scratching the surface. If you're aiming to cover your mortgage with the rental, then you'd need to figure out your minimum income requirement and work out the worst-case scenario in terms of how many nights you manage to rent out. Doing the math shouldn't deter you from setting up an Airbnb because that's something you should be doing before starting any business. Number 2. Check the default settings. It's understandable that Airbnb's main priority would be the guests because there is no Airbnb without them. When you create your profile and list your rental, be sure to manage the default settings to better suit your needs. There's no need to just accept the default settings, but rather make use of the option that shows a renter's profile and ratings by other hosts, or the option that means guests need valid identification to check into your listing. These are all going to help look after your property and your sanity. Number 3. Cleanliness is next to godliness. We've all stayed in places where the cleanliness has been questionable at best. Hair in the shower drain, a stain or two on the sheets, or lipstick marks on the wine glasses. It's disgusting and the kind of thing that will get your place earning a 1-star rating. Of course, you're welcome to pay someone to clean the listing for you, but we're all human and there will be things they might miss. So it's advisable you at least take half an hour yourself to just go through everything and make sure it passes the white glove test. Number 4. You're on call 24/7. Hosting a listing on Airbnb can be wonderfully satisfying and you'll meet people from all around the world, but if you're managing a property yourself, it does mean that you're on duty the entire time you have guests. Most rentals are over a weekend, so going away for your own pleasure can often be compromised. You might be at the beach, out to dinner, or having a family brunch, and you're called out to deal with someone who's accidentally locked themselves in the bathroom or if they've tripped the power and can't find the fuse box. These things happen and you'll need to factor in that before you embark on your Airbnb journey. Number 5. Know the law for rentals in your area. There are many places globally that have very strict rules and regulations regarding Airbnb. As explained on PassiveAirbnb.com, Airbnb rentals are sometimes seen as a potential threat to residents. Short-term rentals can affect landlord-tenant relations, and that's just one reason. There are plenty more. In Thailand, Airbnb is illegal. However, people do take chances and list properties. In Japan, there are very strict laws regarding Airbnb, with hosts having to register their properties with the government, and rental periods are capped at 120 days each year. Just make sure you're legally allowed to rent out your space and you're not breaking any laws by doing so. Which brings us to the next point. Number 6. You must be able to deal with unhappy neighbors. So you've done your homework and have found out it's illegal to have an Airbnb listing. One box ticked off. However, your neighbors are not thrilled they now have to deal with strangers pulling up in their area and making unfamiliar noise at all hours of the day. If you're renting part of your home, it's important to keep in mind that you're the one living there most of the time, and living next door to unhappy neighbors is not ideal. I mean, it's kinda shitty to profit from your listing each weekend while leaving the neighbors to put up with the noise, parties, and commotion. Just don't be a jerk and you'll do just fine as a great Airbnb host. Number 7. You'll have strangers in your space. In some places like New York, it's illegal to rent your home out as a holiday Airbnb. Short-term rental laws in New York prohibit anyone from renting out their entire apartment, which is strange considering New York is Airbnb's biggest US market. If you want to rent out an Airbnb in New York, you as the owner must be present and you're not allowed more than 2 renters at a time. So what we're saying is, you'll have to be comfortable with the idea of sharing your space with total strangers. Number 8. Renters don't always follow the rules. Many hosts will tell you horror stories of terrible situations they found themselves in, and one of the most common problems they're running into is people lying about the number of guests they have staying over. Renting an Airbnb is much cheaper than hiring a venue to host a party. Water, lights, electricity, it's all covered. Plus, a bonus, you don't even have to clean up after yourself because cleaning is included. Houses are often advertised as being able to accommodate 8 to 10 people, for example, and next minute there's 20 people crashing on sofas, partying, and causing huge problems for the unsuspecting host. Number 9. Guests can be rude and unruly. Now trying to confront guests that are breaking the rules is another scenario altogether. Many hosts have found themselves on the receiving end of verbal and even physical abuse. In Ohio, one man was banned from using Airbnb after he threw a New Year's Eve party in a house where he was renting a room for $40 a night. He advertised the party online and charged people $5 to join. The poor homeowner had to lock himself in the bedroom and call the police. Number 10. Have excellent Wi-Fi. And make it easy for people to leave you a glowing review. We suggest listening to Airbnb, a step-by-step guide on how to make money with Airbnb by Brandon Taylor. It's available on Audible, and we've got a free download for you at alux.com/freebook. Number 11. Be fully insured and properly covered. Accidents happen even by the most wonderful tenants, so just be sure to pay close attention to the details when it comes to insurance. It's a game of hope for the best but prepare for the worst. If a guest happened to inflict severe injury or even death because of something that is slightly amiss at your place, you'll need extensive coverage. According to Doreen Von Briel and Sarah Dolnikar from the Department of Tourism at UQ Business School in the University of Queensland, Australia, given the absence of safety regulations for peer-to-peer accommodation listings, privately traded spaces can increase the risks for guests. Number 12. Be aware of Airbnb regulations. Hey Luxers, all we're saying here is read the fine print. Go over the information in the Help Center, peruse the terms and policies, read the member policies and standards, double-check the standards and requirements, and especially take note of host requirements. If anything is unclear, seek legal advice and make sure you understand everything before going ahead with your listing. Number 13. Use a proactive pricing strategy. Grab a yearly calendar and see what events are coming up. Let's say one weekend is Ironman and the next weekend is Oktoberfest, okay? So set the price a bit higher to accommodate the influx of extra people and make a little more cash. Be careful though, you don't want to go too high and not get any bookings at all. Number 14. Be honest in your description. We've all booked accommodations based on the visuals provided, and we've all been duped at least once by some excellent photography skills. The whole expectation versus reality is legit. A gondola ride in Venice always looks so enchanting, but it's usually crammed with other people seeking the same experience, or the serene experience of visiting the Taj Mahal is, in reality, smoggy and crowded. Don't deceive your guests. Be honest when describing your accommodation so there is zero room for a 1-star rating. Number 15. Plan for the quieter seasons. If this is going to be your sole income, you'll need to plan for the quieter times. When it's peak season and you're cashing in, remember not to cash out too quickly. Put some of it away so when you have a lull in your business, you're not going to be too stressed about it. And planning for peak season is just as important, Luxers. Make sure you're prepared, that you have enough stock for everything. You've organized a reliable cleaner, you respond to guests quickly and accurately, and you give yourself a small rental break in between so you can catch your breath and be an amazing host. Alright, are you an Airbnb host already, Luxers? What advice can you share with others wanting to do the same? Join the conversation in the comments. And you know what happens when you stick around until the end? You get a bonus. If you're keen to host an Airbnb, it's advisable to go and stay in a few for yourself before you set up shop. That way you can gain a true reflection of what works and what doesn't, and you can then improve on them and ensure you don't make the same mistakes. And if you need some Airbnb inspiration, check out our video, 15 of the most breathtaking Airbnbs. Thanks for watching, Luxers. We're so glad you joined us today. We value your feedback, likes, and subscriptions, so don't forget to click the bell icon so you don't miss a single video.